G'day, 'tis a Tuesday and welcome to the Slicks On In The Wet podcast. It's the Italian Grand Prix edition. I'm so excited. Daniel Ricciardo's back to his winning ways. Max and Lewis collide. Lots to talk about. Let's get into it. Welcome one and welcome all. My name is Charlie. This is episode 3 and I'm feeling patriotic again. Last week after Zandvoort, I said I was patriotic to the whole country of the Netherlands after the show they put on. But boy oh boy, it's good to be an Aussie. It's great to be an Aussie this week. I cannot explain how happy I am for Daniel Ricciardo, for Oscar Piastri. It's been a great weekend. He's back. He's back, baby. He never left. He said it himself. He never left. And it's just, I'm so excited to talk about it. Like, last couple of weeks, this podcast, it's been fun. It's been very fun, but I'm so keen for this episode. I'm so keen to talk all things Danny Rick because I love the man and he's back. He's back. Oh, I'm so keen. So, heaps to talk about. It's been a packed weekend. Obviously, Lewis and Max had a bit of an incident as well, which is very good to see from a fan's perspective. Not so good if you're a Lewis fan or a Max fan, really. It wasn't great for anyone, I'd say. But yeah, heaps to talk about there. Manic weekend. Sprint race weekend as well, sorry. I didn't even realise that. I completely forgot about it. So, yeah, manic weekend in Formula 1. Lots to get into. But, firstly off the top, bit of administration. A few people are asking me, where's the YouTube version? Last week, my MacBook, it decided to take a week off. You know, it's worked hard. It just showed itself the door, essentially. It completely shit itself. Essentially, it just said the disk was full. So, like, the storage was full or something. So I'm like, all right, that's fine. You know, I'm dealing with a lot of, you know, like these hour-long videos for these poddies. That's fine. I'll just delete a bit. And then it said that action couldn't be completed because the disk was full. So, you tell me how to work that one out. I mean, I don't think, what's his name? Bill Gates could work that one out. No, this is a Mac. Steve Jobs. I mean, I think he'd find it hard to do anything at the moment, but in his heyday, I don't think he could have worked that one out. So I sort of just left it. I'm like, that sucks because I was going to get a few clips, and I think the clips on TikTok and that is the way to grow this thing. But yeah, we couldn't really get that done. So I just sort of left it, and then I turned it on today, and it sort of just turned on, like reset itself almost, and then I just went straight to the bin and it emptied. So we're back. We're on the road again, and I thought I'd make it up to me very loyal YouTube following by getting some decorations up in here. I was feeling very patriotic, so I did as any good Australian would. Went straight to the reject shop, and we got this little number. Got some for the audio listeners. You are missing out. We've got some yellow and green streamers going on. We've got some Australian stickers, and that's about it. Yeah, apparently, when we're 6 months out from Australia Day, the reject shop don't really stock much Australian things. So that made it difficult. But, I prevailed. You know, bit of ticker and a good attitude never went too far. So, yeah, it's looking good. Maybe. It's up for debate, but I tried. I try over here at Slicks On In The Wet. I try. I promise you I do. And, so let's get straight into it. Right, so if you've listened to the first 2 episodes, you will know I'd usually dive straight into the race review. However, I want to change things up a bit because I want to go straight into the Aussie review. Now, this is a segment I started last week, and what a time it was to start it because Australia's on top of the world. I said it last week. There is nothing better than seeing Aussies dominate on a world stage. Like, it's all cool and all domestic competitions, the AFL and, like state cricket. But when you see, like, your Dylan Alcotts and your Daniel Ricciardos, and who else? Jared Clifford. There's one for you. Just absolutely dominating on the world stage. It's great to see. Small country, and we're out here killing it. So it's funny actually. Usually what I do with these run sheets is I copy and paste the one from last week and then tweak it, like take out a segment here, add one there. So in Mueller's review from last week, it just said Danny Rick back sort of ? So all I did was just take off the sort of ? Because that man is back. It's so good to see that. I'm so glad that all the other sporting teams I go for suck, because I don't think I could handle nerves like that. Like when you're down by 150 points, as Carlton typically are, it's easy. We're flying. But Danny Rick leading that Grand Prix, and he led it the whole way, which made it so stressful, because for the 53 laps, I think it was, I was just shaking. My legs were twitching. I've just got hands over my face. And this is like they kept saying on the broadcast on Sky Sports that it's like 12:30 at night. Now, I'm not sure about you, but I do not need that sort of stress level at any time during the week, let alone 12:30 on a Monday morning. But just the pure jubilation and joy when he crossed. I had to wait till he crossed the line, and I was alone, and I'm just belting out these fist bumps. Like I was just uncontrollable. It was so good to watch. Like I cannot remember a time where I've been like more happier for a sports win. Like that just shows. I mean, Carlton, you got to lift, but it was so good. It's like he won the. Cammy stream is just falling down. It's gone all wrong, but yeah, it was so good to see him up on the podium, and the shoey was back, and actually got a little treat. I've actually got a shoe here, and I've actually got one of the finer Australian delicacies in a VB stubby, and to celebrate, I think we do a shoey together. So, if you have a shoe and a beer present, I suggest you join in. This might be a low point doing a shoey on the internet for mine, but it's Danny Rick, and I really think this should be maybe an Australian Day tradition. I think maybe 2:30, have a moment of silence, and then just everyone, like the 26 million in unison. I don't care about your age, gender, your race, your age. I already said age. Your religion. Just shoey for Ricciardo, I think. I think Scott Morrison would win a few more votes if he implemented that. So here we go. Oh God. Oh God. That was disgusting. It was very clean, actually. I used a really nice shoe. I've still got a bit left. Oh. So there was it's like a suit shoe. So the leather sort of held it in, because I didn't want to make a mess of my bedroom at 10:40 on a Monday night. Oh God, it's all gone wrong? What am I doing? I'm sure Mum's proud. But yeah, full disclosure, I did not do the whole stubby. I knocked off about half of it, but that was for you, Daniel. If you didn't enjoy that, I'd like to think Daniel took as much joy out of that as he did his own Grand Prix win. But oh God, that was. Is this what this podcast's turning into? I really hope not. But yeah, as I said, it's too good not to. Daniel Ricciardo, he won a Grand Prix. Especially the year he's had. The couple of years he's had. This is his first win since Monaco. Excuse me, 2018, and the move to Renault was okay. Probably didn't go as well as he wanted. His second year, he got them the couple of podiums, but excuse me again, this was not a good idea. And yeah, there was so much hype for his return to McLaren. Oh, not his return. Sorry, his move to McLaren, and he hasn't been on it. I think he would admit that himself. I think he did, and oh, what a way to come back, because he's been absolutely nowhere, and Lando's been. I think it was made worse by the fact that Lando was killing it. Yeah, Lando's been so good this year. I think he's sitting 4th in the championship, and Daniel Ricciardo was nowhere, but it's so good to have him back. I just hope this continues. I'm happy now. Like, I really hope he can continue this and just match with Lando. I think Lando probably had. I think Lando had just as much pace. Like, I think that if that was switched, Lando wins. And I think after it, they asked Lando, could he have passed him? But I don't think they're ever going to do that. But so I hope this continues. I think it can. Russia's next. There's that massive straight from on the start finish line to turn 2. It's really turn 1, but and I said last week, and we've seen it at Spa, we've seen it at Austria. The McLaren's a ball in straight line, so hopefully we got Danny Rick back for good. Because it's great to win this one, but if he finishes outside the points and doesn't make it to Q2 next week, things can be pretty easily forgotten. So, but who cares about that for now? Daniel Rick's back, and I'm absolutely loving it. And also, in the F2, Oscar Piastri won the feature race, the main race of the Formula 2, and extended his championship lead. Now, the silly season is well and truly upon us, and we know that. We've seen many moves during the week that we will get to, and the fact that I haven't even heard his name in contention. I think the only seats left Alfa Romeo, and but even for the Williams seats, I did not hear his name at all, which is, he's winning F2. He won F3 last year as a rookie. He's leading F2 as a rookie. He's quite literally and objectively done everything he could. So I don't know what the go is there, but we're actually good mates, me and Oscar Piastri. I put up that story you might have seen, just a little shout out. I said get him in an F1 seat, and he did view it. He did view that story. So I think we're going for brunch sometime next week, and I can nearly guarantee an episode. So that's good. I immediately slid, in all seriousness, into his DMs, and I think he's busy. His phone must have died or something, because he hasn't managed to open that one yet. But I'm sure he'll get back to me soon. So it was just so good to be an Australian. How good's Australia? It's so good. I mean, there's plenty of problems. There's plenty of problems everywhere, but it's just good to, take your mind off all that and just enjoy, the honey badger and his protege just dominating on the world stage. It's so cool to see, and I'm so happy. Right, before the race wrap again, we've gone off the cards here, but I just want to briefly talk about silly season, because probably coming into this weekend, this was the story, and obviously the main one, George Russell has officially gone to Mercedes. I said last week when we just got in on the buzzer that Bottas has gone to Alfa Romeo, which pretty much implied that George was going to Mercedes, but it's official now, and that's it's great to hear. It honestly is. I don't think you need me to tell you that. George, he's obviously a great driver. He did, he won F2, and then it was sort of a weird one, because he came through with the likes of Albon, Norris, and Leclerc, and he was probably the best at the time, and got given the worst seat. Obviously, Norris went to McLaren. Charles, the 2-time race winner at Ferrari. So it was a bit unlucky in that sense. And Albon got a Red Bull drive, but it always seemed like it was a bit backwards, and he's probably felt hard done by. But I think in the end, he's proved his worth. He's built up this sort of reputation that the others couldn't. That he's taken Williams. They were nowhere. They were terrible, and now he's just got points for the third week in a row. I think third week in a row. Is that right? Nah, I don't know. He scored points again this weekend. We'll go with that. And yeah, like it took a while to break the seal, if you will, but he's back. Not back, but he's there, and it's so good to see, and it's obviously very well deserved. So good on you, George. He'll kill it. I just hope the regulations at Mercedes is good next year with the changes. I would hate to see them go to shit, and then George goes down with them. So that would be terrible, but no, I think they'll be right. So that was good. The other move, so obviously with George leaving Williams, someone had to replace him, and that was Alex Albon, which, no surprise to me. I thought just because the Mercedes tyres, Nick De Vries would have slotted in there, but I think Albon deserves another go. Like, as we've seen with Pierre Gasly, after he got promoted to Red Bull and then demoted, he's flown at AlphaTauri. He's killing it. He looked good on the weekend until the sprint qualifying, but we'll get into that. But yeah, obviously won in Monza last year, and yeah, absolutely flying and just excelling there. So I think it's a bit harsh just to judge Albon off that 1.5 years at Red Bull, because I mean, obviously there is issues, or not issues, but it's very difficult to drive that second Red Bull car. So I think Albon will thrive at Williams. I mean, obviously Williams are on the up, and with the new regulation changes, they could easily be a midfield team. So that just gives Albon the opportunity to just not overachieve, I think, because he will be in a car that I think is under him. But to get constant points into Williams, that'll be seen as unreal, especially going up against Latifi, who, let's be honest, probably isn't the greatest of drivers, and probably is there just to pay the bills. But so it'll be. I think the pressure's off as well, which, I mean, I don't know how I'd go driving for Red Bull halfway through my rookie season. The pressure in the media, and you're up against Max Verstappen there. I think going back to Williams against Latifi and just working it out, he could do what similar thing that George did, make that his team and just build him from the ground up. So I think that's a great move for Alex Albon and for Williams, I think, because I think Albon's quality. So that's very good to see. So the only seat left now is, as I said earlier, that Alfa Romeo seat. I think I love Giovinazzi, and I think he's earned it. He qualified great this weekend. I think, he got into Q3 again, so he finished 10th. And that's way better than that Alfa Romeo is. I don't care what people say, that Alfa Romeo is not that good. It's a terrible car. And Giovinazzi, he did the same thing last year. As soon as people questioned his seat, he stood up and actually started competing well, which was... It's good to see. I think that... I don't think he's done enough to lose his seat. You could say that people have done enough to earn it, but I don't think Giovinazzi deserves to lose it. So it is a bit of a catch-22, but I think Giovinazzi, he's so young. He's his third year, and he hasn't been terrible. I don't think this early, unless you're really bad, can you lose your seat, if you know what I mean. So, especially going into new regs, I think Giovinazzi, it would not surprise me if he comes out and just becomes an absolute superstar. It could easily happen. But at the same time, it could easily happen if you put second in F2. I know his name, but the Chinese, it's like Guang Guanzhou. I'm so sorry. That's a horrible pronunciation. But I'm sure if you put him in there, he could easily become a superstar as well. So, but I think you've chosen Giovinazzi in the past. I think you have to stick loyal to him, especially when he hasn't done anything wrong. Sorry, I get that Albon, you drop him. That's understandable, because Albon was terrible. He was shocking. So yeah, I think Giovinazzi should keep that seat, and I think it's looking more likely that he will. So Him and Bottas. I'm excited to see that. Hopefully, but also if he does lose it, like I'm not too concerned. But hopefully they put Piastri in that seat. Because if he wins, this is something I've learned over the weekend. If he wins F2, he's not allowed to race in that again, which seems ridiculous. That you can, like, this is, if Zhu gets that seat after coming second to Piastri in F2, like, I get that it's a money game, but you're kidding. Like, imagine Zhu like comes second to Piastri, gets the F1 seat, and then Piastri can't race in F2 because he's won it. Has to go race in Formula E or something like that, and then just never gets looked at again. Like, that's a very real possibility as to what will happen. Like, it seems so wrong to me that you can win F2 but not get a seat in F1, but then not be allowed to race in F2. Like, it just seems so wrong to me, but hopefully all that works itself out for Piastri. But yeah, as I said, it was a great performance by him from all accounts. I didn't personally watch it, but extends that championship lead. I really hope he does win it, and I hope he gets that Alfa Romeo seat. So yeah. Oh, jeez, I don't know. I'm torn. I don't think he will, because I think Giovanazzi's done enough. But if Giovanazzi is to lose that seat, just chuck Piastri in there. God, that'd be good. Rightio, it's time to finally talk about the rest of this manic Italian Grand Prix for 2021. It's just going to go through a light race review. Friday, we had qualifying. Obviously, with the new sprint format. Friday qualifying, it's the usual Q1, Q2, Q3. And it's always weird at Monza. So at Monza, just for those who might not be aware, you get the best lap times if you've got a tow, which essentially means someone in front of you braking the air, essentially, for you to go through and fly through, because it's a lot of straights. And so obviously braking the air affects you in the corners, as in you lose time. You gain time because you lose speed, essentially. But because there's so many straights, it doesn't matter, because you gain so many time on that straights with a tow. So it gets really manic in qualifying, because teams are trying to set up that one's behind the other, and people are they all bunch up really close, so because they all want to wait for a tow, and no one wants to go first, because then they'll be towing someone else, and it gets manic and it gets weird. And like, I don't know how you fix it, but something needs to change. And I think that's evident, but obviously I don't think there is an easy solution to it, because it's only really a problem at a few select tracks. So yeah, whether there's a real need to make a massive change just for that, I don't know. But yeah, hopefully they need to do something, I think, because it is ridiculous. And you've got people on flying laps coming through, and then they've just met with a big bunch who are trying to work themselves out. But yeah, so I think they will work it out. But yeah, I think it just keeps getting worse and worse as well. Like, I think teams don't really give a shit anymore, so it's getting worse. But they'll work that out. Valtteri Bottas, after getting dropped from Mercedes, just come out and won qualifying, which was good for him. Mercedes was the quickest all weekend. I think that was pretty evident, and so that was good for Valtteri. Lewis, then Max followed, and then then Lando, then Daniel in the McLaren. So clearly the Mercedes engine in the McLaren, and the Mercedes obviously the quickest, and then Max Verstappen just too good, chucks himself in the third. Saturday, the sprint. So this is the second sprint race. Obviously, we have one at Silverstone, which I like it. I really enjoy it, because it just gives you something to do on a Friday and a Saturday night. I'll happily admit I don't watch Friday practice too often, and if I do, it's usually just on in the background while I'm on TikTok. But yeah, I like the sprint for that reason. It was a touch dull, but it's so weird in F1. Everyone seems to be so concerned about how, like, the entertainment value. Like, imagine in the NBA, for example, or any other sport, like, you just don't hear about that. Like, they full on change things just to make it more interesting, when it doesn't really need to be more interesting. I don't think. I think it's fine. Like, obviously, when you get a good track and, you know, things start kicking off, it turns into amazing. But even just like a dull race, as they say, I reckon it's still good enough. Like, yeah, you're gonna have, like, when your team gets beat by 100 points in the AFL, for example, that's not fun. But, like, people go, this sucks, change it. It's like, it's just the sport. I don't see why. It's like, it's not a show, for example. Like, it doesn't make much sense to me, but I suppose because I'm relatively new to F1, I think that's just how it goes. So, yeah, the sprint, I like it. But yeah, I think they do need to change a few things. I don't like that the winner of sprint gets pole, like the pole award, the pole position award that would usually be handed to the winner of qualifying. I think pole position, the award, is for the fastest, and the sprint always isn't the fastest. It's maybe who drives better in the race, for example. Like Lewis was the second fastest, but finished 5th in the sprint. Like, you know, like it can change, obviously, but yeah, I don't like how it's called pole position, and but that's the only really. It's a minor thing, but it's just weird. I don't think. I think you need both aspects of raw pace and then racecraft to be, you know, I think that's part of it. So I think by giving the pole to the winner of the sprint race, it sort of just chucks qualifying on the back burner too much. Like, I think qualifying still needs to be, you know, a real integral part of the weekend, which it is, but it's sort of like they chuck it on the back burner, and it's sort of like the weekend starts on Saturday for the sprint, when qualifying, I think, needs to be, you know, part of it a bit more. But it's a minor thing, but, you know, they'll work that out. So just a few notes from the sprint. Obviously, McLaren set up their weekend, set up their 1-2 essentially with the great start. I think, yeah, they jumped up very quickly, and, you know, Lewis went. I think he actually had in reverse at the start, which was, you know, unfortunate for him given that the rest were going forwards, and yeah, that sort of ruined Lewis's weekend right there and then. So I like the sprint because of that, how it can sort of just flip everything on its head. Not even on its head. I mean, the difference between having Lewis starting 2nd or 5th, which he did, like, that's enough just to throw a little spanner in the works. So yeah, I like that from the sprint. Obviously, Gasly DNF'd. I hate to see it. I think if they want to make it more interesting, you can't penalise DNFs as much. I think maybe if you DNF, because Gasly was, where was he? He started 6th, and then just because he clipped Carlos Sainz into the first chicane and then lost his front wing and went straight into a barrier, he just has to start from 20th. I think that's a touch harsh. I know it's sort of the premise, but yeah, and also I think it deters the top teams from making risky moves, because, you know, if Hamilton's in 2nd, he's not going to make a move on Verstappen in 1st, because if he stuffs it up, he's going to start from 20th. Like, he'd rather start from 2nd than the back, obviously. So I reckon if they just, it's like wherever you were before you DNF'd, and then 5 places back or something, because then that's obviously people aren't going to be as scared to DNF, so they'll start sending, you know, massive dive bombs. So there you go. There your Formula 1. Just add that in, and yeah, just credit me. That's fine. You do you. The other bit I don't like about the sprint, I've just got here that Latifi out-qualified, I put that in quotation marks, George Russell, because it's the first time in, like, since they were together, since they were teammates, it's the first time in George Russell's career he's been out-qualified by a Williams teammate. So I don't love that stat's been broken because he got a poor start in the sprint race. I think he dropped from 15th back to like 17th or 18th, and then Latifi was just in 16th. So didn't love how they called that. It's like the same with the pole thing. It's a minor thing, but I just don't love it. But it's not too bad. Anyway, then we come to the race. So straight off the bat, double an ENF for AlphaTauri. Obviously, I just mentioned that Gasly bended in the sprint, which was unfortunate for him. But then Yuki on the did he? Oh, I can't remember now. Yeah, Yuki has. I think Yuki didn't start. So yeah, Yuki I don't think started. So yeah, Gasly had these issues, and then he tried for a bit. He just said it was undrivable, so they DNF'd him. And yeah, Yuki didn't have a start. He had, I think it was hydraulic issues. I'm going to go with, and it wasn't even able to start the race. So very disappointing for AlphaTauri. I mean, that's the highs and lows of Formula One, I suppose. Gasly won this race last year in an act of God, and but yeah, obviously. Yeah, not good for AlphaTauri. It was the saddest Instagram post when they just put up, because obviously all the teams put up, where their drivers finished and said DNF. I mean, that just, I'm sure the person whoever put that up was just dead inside. So that sucked for them, but didn't suck for Danny Rick. He got a great start and just moved straight up into first place, jumped Max into that first chicane, which, I mean, he got a better start, but you wouldn't rather start from second, but starting from second isn't the worst thing, because it's on the inside. You get the inside line into turn one, so even if you're alongside, you can just dive bomb it not pretty easily. I don't know what I'm talking about in terms of driving. I don't know how easy it is, but yeah, it's not the worst thing to start from second in Monza. And then obviously Danny Rick just got great traction, and then flew off the start, and Max had to slot in the second. Now, the thing that was really impressed me about the 1-2 from McLaren, they did it on pace, pretty much. I think it was Lando who said it. They probably didn't have the pace to maybe overtake a Red Bull or Mercedes, but they, certainly for the first half of the race, they kept them off. I think, Danny didn't let past Verstappen, and then Lando was in third holding off Lewis. So, it goes to show that McLaren had the pace. They couldn't get past. I think Lewis eventually did get past, but then Lando got past him again on the overcut. I'm going to go with overcut. Essentially, Lando pitted, had like a 2-second stop, but then Lewis pitted after, and had like a 4-second stop. So then, but the gap was only like 1 second at the time. So Lando jumped him, and then Max had a really slow stop, which put him back in the mix with the likes of Lando and Lewis. And then that's when we got Lewis coming out of the pit lane. Lando easily breezed past. Max tried to do a little move around the outside of turn one, and then we seen that crash. And it was a terrible crash. Like, the video of it, that slow-mo that they kept showing was hard to look at. I think, just for those who might not have seen it, I'll try and describe it the best I can. Max ended up on the inside of turn 2, and Lewis he did squeeze him. He popped him up onto the curb, which made, he sort of jumped him, and then Max's front right tyre drove up on Lewis's left back tyre, and then what can only be described as an RKO type movement. Max's car just went straight over the top and landed on Lewis's car, and the back right tyre of Max actually hit Lewis in the head. I mean, thank God for the halo, because I don't see a way Lewis survives that without that halo, because his car landed straight on him, and then that tyre, because the halo, their head sticks out probably 100 mil from the top of the halo, and just sort of conked him on the head. It was hard to watch, but and it's obviously everyone's going to have a different opinion, and Max did cop a 3-spot penalty for the next race, but the way I seen it, if you look at that incident as an isolated incident, it doesn't really, I can't really put anyone at fault, because I think Max did have the right to make that move, but also he was never going to make that move, but also Lewis did squeeze him. So it's like, what do you do? But if you look at, this is where it becomes hard, because Max has a real tendency of squeezing Lewis at chicanes, but Lewis always seems to, he just pulls out. And like, he pulls out, but if he doesn't really need to, because Max squeezed him, so they will come together and it will be Max's fault in the end, but he just avoids it. So, but because Max doesn't pull out, it sort of looks like it's Lewis's fault because he squeezed him. So it's like, Max should have probably pulled out if they didn't want to come together, but he didn't really have to for mine. But if he does pull out, they don't hit. See, I don't know what to do, because I don't know what I would do. Because obviously if Max pulls out, they don't come together. But also, he probably doesn't have to pull out, I don't think. And didn't, and they came together. But Lewis probably squeezed him. Yeah, but it's so tough, because in the same situation, Lewis probably pulls out, they don't hit. So it's like, so people are saying, oh, but Max always does this to Lewis. It's like, yeah, but look, it's difficult, because if Max pulls out, he probably loses it. But if he stays there, it's Lewis's fault for something, like, you know what I mean? So but obviously it wasn't. They adjudicated that Max was at fault, which I can definitely see that as well. It didn't really look like he realistically was never going to get past him there. Whether he had a gap and it was, side by side or whatever, he was never going to get past there. So yeah, I can definitely see why they gave Max the penalty for that, and I'm not mad at it. Like, obviously I'm impartial to it all. I'd probably rather see Max win, but that's based purely on, I just want to see someone else win it. I'm just here for a close fight, a title fight, really, so it doesn't really worry me. But yeah, so Max will have a 3-spot grid penalty for next week. Oh, not next week. A couple weeks at Sochi. So yeah, but obviously that opened the door right up. Obviously, after Bottas qualified first, he had to take a grid penalty because he changed his power unit, which sent him to the back of the grid, but he was quick. Bottas was easily the quickest of the weekend. He was way quicker than Lewis. Lewis couldn't get past Lando or really do anything from 5th when he was in the race, before he obviously had that crash with Verstappen. But Bottas was flying through the field. He got up into 4th. So at the end of the race, you had Ricciardo, Norris, Perez, Bottas. So Bottas was coming quick on the mediums. He had about, I think for mine, he had this small window where the mediums were quicker than, he was on the mediums. Perez, Ricciardo, and Norris, I think, were all in the hards. So essentially what that means is, if you don't know, Bottas's tyres were quicker, but they were going to go off quicker as well. So he had this period where he had to get past Perez before his tyres went off, and he couldn't manage that. So, and Perez also had a 5-second penalty. So I think that sort of helped, because if Bottas gets past Perez, he easily gets past the McLarens. So I think Perez nearly won Danny Ric the race, and I'm not sure if he would have got past Danny Ric as well, but I reckon he definitely would have got past Lando if he got past Perez early enough. So, but yeah, Perez was able to hold him off, and he had a 5-second penalty, so I don't think Bottas was really, he didn't feel the need to really pass Perez, because he knew if he just stayed behind him, he was going to end up finishing on the podium anyway. So yeah, it all sort of, at the end, came this little perfect storm for McLaren, where Perez was just holding off the quicker Bottas, and he ended up getting past him at one point, but Perez had a nice switchback on him. So yeah, that was awesome. And then yeah, it's just lots of cool battles, and then it ended in McLaren 1-2. So great weekend all around for mine. Obviously George Russell finished in the points again, as I mentioned earlier. He came ninth, so he continues his good run. The Ferraris both in the sixth, Charles in fourth, and Carlos in sixth. So that was a bit surprising to me. I didn't think they were going to be anywhere, but I suppose there is sort of this gap bridging between. You've got the Red Bull Mercedes battle, then you've got McLaren and Ferrari, and then you sort of got the rest. So, with no Lewis or Max in the race, I think it sort of makes sense that they finish in the sixth. So, good on Ferrari. I mean, I don't think they scored points last year. They had double DNF last year, from memory. I think Seb Vettel had brake issues, and Charles Leclerc had that the massive crash at the Curva Grande, and red flag the session. Yeah, so they're well and truly back. Was that terrible last year? So that's good to see for their home race. The Tifosi, obviously, it's always a pretty good environment at Monza. I don't think it was quite the Netherlands, but I think they only had a 50% capacity, so they're a bit hindered there. So, but yeah, no, it's good to see for Ferrari, and obviously with the other Italian team in AlphaTauri double DNFing before the race has really begun, it was good for Ferrari to fly the Italian flag as they usually do. So yeah, obviously I'm pretty happy with the race and how it went. McLaren won too, and yeah, it's all heating up at the top. At the end of the previous podcast, I made some predictions for Monza. Not my best effort, I'll admit. I'll just quickly run through. I had Max, Lewis, and Lando for the qualifying. I forgot it was a sprint, so I didn't even sort of predict that at all. So we'll go off the Friday qualifying because that's what I was thinking about. I had Max, Lewis, Lando. That wasn't really it. Obviously, it was Bottas, Lewis, and then Verstappen. So I had Lewis right in second, but Lando obviously wasn't quick enough, and Max was third, not first. So yeah, I didn't even have Bottas in there. So yeah, not great by me. Sunday, they were all wrong. I had Max, then Lewis, then Perez. Perez obviously finished third on track. Did he? Yeah, finished third on track, but ended up slipping into fifth, I think, because of that 5-second penalty, as I mentioned earlier. So not that great by me. Obviously, Max and Lewis took each other out. So yeah, they were never going to finish 1-2, were they? The headline, no, I smashed this one. I said both McLarens I said in the top 6 initially, and then I said, nah, they're on top 5. And well, it was top 2. So well and truly got that one right. So that's a massive tick from mine. The number of Mazda spins, I said 1. He didn't spin at the, what do they call it? The Temple of Speed? I like that name. Didn't spin, and yeah, that's good by him. We love a good Nikita run, although he's been a bit too good last couple of weeks for me. So I think we're going to see some serious spinning at Sochi with them sausage curbs. So yeah, look out, Nikita. Rightio, it is time for everyone's favourite segment. It's my favourite segment. It's the Slick 7. It's just where we take 7 things and put them into no particular order. So this week, paying homage to Daniel Ricciardo's beautiful message over the radio, we've got the best winning radio moments. So this is where the driver crosses the line, he wins, and this is what they give on the radio. So the one of 7, we got Valtteri Bottas in Australia 2019, where he crossed the line and just went, "To whom it may concern, fuck you," which is hilarious for one. Obviously, he was criticised pretty heavily in his time at Mercedes, and that's good. That's cool. I really like that. And yeah, it's just a huge fuck you. There's not much else to it, really. It's great, and it's obviously he's aware of the criticism around it, and then he just doesn't really speak about it, but then he just wins, and then just gives a big "how you going?" So love that by Valtteri Bottas. 2 of 7, we've got Seb Vettel, after he won his championship, he won the race and the championship at Abu Dhabi in 2010. Now this is pretty iconic. He sounds like a puppy dog in it. He's obviously crying. I might do the puppy dog voice. No, I don't know. It just goes, thank you, boys. Unbelievable. I love you. And then the iconic line, I need a moment. I think that's actually in the F1 games now, as you can like choose your winning like radio message, and I need a moment is there. It's a pretty iconic from Seb, and that's obviously his first of 4 championships. So obviously he wouldn't have known what's to come, but you'd be pretty stoked, I think. 3 of 7. Lewis last year, after he won his 7th World Drivers' Championship, it's too iconic to not chuck in. He just goes, that's for all the kids out there who dream the impossible. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. And to be fair to him, he probably did have a year to work out what he was going to say, because he knew he was going to win it from race 2, I think. He took that much of a lead. It was ridiculous. So, yeah, that was in no doubt. And that was at Turkey. That was like, I swear to God, that was like halfway through the year, and he just secured it. So, and actually, that was a great drive from memory. Was it wet? Or was that somewhere else? I'm not going to say 100% that was the drive I'm thinking of, but yeah. So that's good by Lewis. Number 4, the 4 of 7. We've got easily, we cast our minds back a year from this weekend. Pierre Gasly, his maiden win in an AlphaTauri at Monza. He just goes, what did we just do? We won the fucking race. And yes, you did, Pierre. And that was pretty cool. That was so cool to watch. How good's Monza? Just quietly. I mean, it's just pure. Obviously, then there was like red flags and all sorts of jargon going on. It was like a who's who of who gives a rat's. So, but he prevailed, and that's that was so good to watch. If you watch that live, you know what I'm talking about. So 5 of 7. I did a bit of research. I hadn't actually seen this one before, but Fernando Alonso won the championship in 05 and 06. And there's this great, there's a video of it. Look it up. He's just singing "We Are the Champions," like just belts out the song after he won. Which, I mean, it's fitting. It truly is. And beautiful voice, young Fernando. What was that, like 16 years ago? And he's still racing in F1, which is ridiculous for the same team. So it's great by Fernando Alonso. 6 of 7. We go back to Valtteri Bottas after he won his last win. His most recent win in Russia 2020. He just goes, and again, this is a nice time to thank my critics, to whom it may concern, fuck you. Which is just great. It's especially great from a man who's just lost his job. Like, he's dishing this sort of stuff out. No more than a year later, he's been sacked. Which is just, it's great for mine. I mean, I love the confidence. I just love when the confidence probably doesn't equal to the ability. And I love how he hasn't won a race since. It's too perfect. This is a nice time to thank my critics, to whom it may concern, fuck you. I love that by him. And I hope he gets a win in Alfa Romeo. Yeah, that'll definitely happen. And the Slick 7, finally. Obviously, Daniel Ricciardo, Monza 2021. He just said, and for anyone who thought I left, I never left. I just moved aside for a while, which is perfect. Chef's kiss. Hadn't won a race in 3 years, and I'm still not over it. I'm still buzzing. What a man. What a win. What a Grand Prix. Rightio, it is... Oh, my stream is just falling down again. I set him up in the intermission, and... Look, it's not my best work, I'll be honest, but it could have at least, held up a touch. But as I was saying, we now move to Sochi, Russia, the Russian Grand Prix. Actually, is it at Sochi? Or they changed... Oh, I think they changed it for next year. I think this is the last race at Sochi. And thank God for that, because... if you've just tuned in after the Daniel Ricciardo win, and maybe thinking, this will be good. I'll start watching this. Hate to break it to you, but that's not going to happen at Russia. I'm that confident because Sochi, it sucks. So that is really unfortunate. But here we go. Saturday. This is Bottas's track. He has a knack of winning at Russia. He's Finnish. I don't know why he likes Russia so much, but as I said, he won there last year, and he's a bit of on a hot streak. Just been fired. I hope we get another tournament may concern. So I reckon I've got him qualifying first, and then Lewis, and then Max. I think Mercedes will be quicker again, just off evidence from this weekend. There is that long straight from, as I said, the start finish to turn 2. So, excuse me. So I reckon I think Mercedes will be quicker, and I think Bottas is quicker at Sochi than Lewis. So there's that reasoning. Sunday, I've got Lewis winning 2 from Bottas, and then to Max. I think it'll just be, your typical Sochi, just a bit of a procession. It's a lot of 90-degree turns and not much fun. So, yeah, I don't think there'll be much of a shake-up. I hope I'm wrong. But yeah, I've got Lewis beating Bottas. And this takes me to my headline, because I reckon team orders come into play at Mercedes. I reckon Bottas will be leading, and I reckon the maybe a Valtteri, it's James, will come over. It's time to sleep in the second there, son. So, and then, maybe he won't do it. That'd be good. Maybe he's leading. They tell him to, and he just hits him with a mid-race to whom it may concern. Fuck you, and just wins the race. That'd be good. You heard it here first. If that happens, what a prediction that is. And then finally, the old Nikita Mazepin. I said it earlier, there's mad sausage curbs on these 90-degree turns, and you can just bump up on them, lose all traction, see you later. So Nikita, I reckon he's going around twice this weekend. So watch out for that. That'd be good. So that brings us to the end of episode 3 of Slicks On in the Wet. And this is easily my favourite episode, Getting to talk about Daniel Rick. A Daniel Rick win is all I've ever hoped for. And it's so good. It's so good. And as I said earlier, I hope he can continue this through. And obviously the championship fight's heating up. I think Max is still ahead of Lewis, but I think Mercedes have got the edge in the team standing. So yeah, be good to see, and I'm very excited for the rest of the season. And I look forward to joining me next Tuesday. No, not next Tuesday. The Tuesday after Sochi, whenever that is. I'll be here still, chipping away. So yeah, look forward to seeing you then. Peace out.